Now joining us from Oka to discuss the Anambra election is Godbless Otunure, Global President of Ready to Lead Africa, a civil society group. Godbless Otunure, thank you very much for joining us. We've been discussing the Anambra election. We've been, providing reports direct from the State Collation Center. And now, thank you for joining us. What's your impression about this election, particularly with regard to expectations, anxieties, and how generally the election has turned out?
For me and for us in the civil society space, it has been one that has revealed a lot of interesting realities. From when some of us came to do our feasibility study, because Ready to Lead Africa, we were here sometime in April, working with our state chapter on the ground to say, okay, is it possible to get a lot more people to turn out to vote, and also to get more young people to participate? Because if you look at our demographics, our work is majorly focused on getting the next generation, the next emerging set of young leaders, and would-be citizens who are now participating in government to be a part of the democratic process. When we came, there was a lot of apprehension, of course, with the issues that was prevalent in the day. The killings in the Southeast, the targeting of INEC infrastructure. These were some of the things we dealt with when we came to do our feasibility study. And as the process became closer, as parties started doing their primaries and the court cases, as it dragged and dragged, we saw the test of the democratic principle of participation, even though the process was tough. For us, as members of the civil society community, what we did was remain calm, persistent, and just continue to work within the areas where we knew we could, effect change. So rather than do sometimes overt campaigns and engagement, we decided to do more clandestine and, coded engagement where we were talking to young people and talking to people within the community. Of course, you had the issue of IPOB. That was also a big concern for a lot of us who were working in and outside of the state. And then with what IPOB did by saying that people can go about their civil rights and go vote, it also helped in bringing down what the tension could ordinarily had been. And then the fact that we also got the peace accord, and I saw your last guest was talking about the National Peace Committee and General Abdulsalam and Reverend Matthew Kuka, and of course, not also lost is the fact that Ready to Lead Africa and the Vote Not Fight campaign also implemented the youth version of the National Peace Accord called the Youth Against Electoral Violence Accord, that was also signed by all the candidates, by most of the candidates, I beg your pardon, same day where they signed the National Peace Accord. So my general impression is one of beginning to look at the process, engaging in the process, and now seeing the outcome of a relatively, in fact, not just relatively, largely an impressively peaceful election, one that is devoid of complaints of rigging and all of that, that we have now seen today in Anambra State. 19 local governments, if I'm correct, already done, and we see what the outcome has been, and the city itself has been extremely calm, and we can say of a truth, we're seeing an election that is really, beginning to move in the right direction. But nevertheless, the challenges from the side of the umpire, which is INEC, has also given us reason to question some of the energy that INEC speaks with. Which is actually something we have also been very careful about. INEC always beats their chest and say, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And then you see that again on the field, and of course there are challenges. And we know that. We absolutely do know that there are challenges when you deploy new technology and you try new things. And of course, one of the disheartening things is to see that people are saying they are not going to work on elections because their lives are worth more than votes and all of that. And I definitely understand that. And also hear that policemen were complaining that some of the allowances were not being paid, and then we see a debunking and a reaffirmation. It just shows that we still have a lot of work to do in the entire democratic ecosystem to ensure that we have a virile, sustainable and prosperous democratic system as a people moving forward.
Well, God bless. I mean, we've been staying with this story all day, and we've covered the announcement of the results, collated results from the various local governments. But there was an issue with Orumba North local government area, where you have over 98,000 registered voters. Now, the collation center had to go on recess and then came back, and now all the collation officers have been asked to go take a look at the results from Orumba North, as presented by Dr. Michael Utu, who had an altercation with the electoral officer. Yes, he had results, which he didn't quite present, and the issue now is whether an election took place or not. He's a collation officer, from what the law says. He's a collation officer in the position to summarily say, I reject these results because I was made to sign under duress. If you could enlighten us in that regard.
Okay, so I mean, this is, if you look at the last election, and I'm really, of course, we're all disappointed with what we saw between those two, citizens and fine people, I would say. But it is also part of the things that we hope we would not see moving forward. And that is why the new Electoral Amendment Act, which is yet to be signed by the president, being worked on by the conference committee right now, we now see that these are some of the issues that we also raised, and we've created clauses for them to be solved. Now you have an electoral officer that is saying, oh, maybe I signed this under duress. The current Electoral Act, right, does not give INEC the capacity to review all of these things and make a determination, as we ordinarily would have loved to. But if you look at what we've done with the new Electoral Act that we advocated for and now that has gone through the House, is that, INEC would have ample time, I think within 7 days, to look at all of that. And a returning officer, maybe an electoral officer, who says that I signed this thing under duress, INEC can refute and refuse that result. So at the moment, what we have with the 2010 Act that we're using, we're going to continue to see this problem. And I know that now that they've gone back with the Orumba North issue, I think when they come back and they do all the recalculation and they go ahead and talk about some of the issues that were not correct, I'm sure we will get to a place of resolving this challenge. But what we have just seen is the deficiency of the Electoral Amendment Act 2010 as amended that we are using to run this particular election. And I believe that as the conference committee finishes and rounds off its work with regards to the 2021 Electoral Amendment Act that a lot of us and all the CSOs in the country and the House of Reps and the Senate have now graciously worked on, I believe that these issues will be a thing of the past, where INEC will now be legally permitted to reject election results or whatever people bring, and they say, oh no, I did this out of duress. And for me, I just think that is where we are at the moment, and it's sad. It is sad.
Okay, what do you think is likely to happen tonight, tomorrow, going forward? Any projections, any expectations?
Well, when you look at what I think, there are some local governments where, of course, elections have not yet happened, because when you look at the returning officers and the electoral officers, they're saying that, yeah, it's been confirmed. Even you look at the party agents for the three leading parties that are actively participating in the process, saying that, yeah, we can confirm that elections did not happen here, elections did not happen here. What I think is going to eventually now happen in general is all the parties can see the results, and they have all itemized areas where they have grievances and all of that. What we're going to see on Monday will be the consummation of the entire process. There will be areas where elections didn't happen before that will happen, but I also think that you have 21 local governments and you have 19 already called, if I'm correct, and data is already out there to show where the votes have gone. So my expectations right now will be going back to look at what the difference could be and where the challenges are to see if these outstanding engagement would either impact the finality of the result, or we can, it will probably make preliminary judgments to say we probably know where the results might end, tilting. But at the end of the day, we're not in a position to make any particular announcement. At best, we can talk about what our opinions are. But for me, I just think that what we'll see tomorrow will be the finality, the consummation of the entire process, and then a new governor-elect will be announced tomorrow by the Independent National Electoral Commission for the people of Anambra State, which I believe have comported themselves very well, beyond most of our expectations.
You cannot be more correct. Godbless Otunure. It's not our job as journalists, to make the final call. That's the job of INEC, and we'll all continue to wait on INEC. But just before I let you go, one of the issues we discussed with NLB earlier on, convener of the Situation Room, we discussed lessons. What kind of lessons do you think we can take away from this process unfolding in Anambra State?
I think what we're learning from Anambra State is what I'm going to say to the political class. You see, Nigerians are waking up. And that is the truth, Dr. Ruben. Nigerians are waking up. I mean, she was talking about what we saw on the ground, where people were trying to get people to vote for a particular party, and they rejected the money. Now, I posted that out, and I said, our people are beginning to learn our lessons. And someone said, oh, but there were other people that collected money. And I said, you don't understand how progress is made. The progress we are seeing is the fact that there are people who are interested in the way their commonwealth will be governed. Because at the beginning of everything democratic is the fact that you and I surrender our rights for a few to make decisions on our behalf. And people are waking up to say that we will be the one to determine who leads us as governor, who leads us as president, who leads us as House of Reps member or a senator. That is the lesson we're seeing. The lesson again on the part of the authorities is the fact that whenever we try to implement newness on a large scale, we must do our homework. And that is the word to INEC. INEC, please, do not beat your chest without testing the ground. We understand that they tried the Beavers platforms in Isoko when they had the by-election. But when you look at the data, of course, you look at the sample and the scope of that test. You cannot say when you're trying to do an election for 2.5 million people and what you have in Isoko by-election. So I just think that that's another lesson for INEC. For the police, I'm saying to the police, thank you for standing your ground and being neutral and protecting everybody. Because I remember when we were visiting the commissioner of police and some of the local stakeholders, they told us that, look, the police will work with us to ensure that there is peace in the state. And we trusted them and came on the ground, and we have done the work today. And we're going to leave Anambra knowing well that we've contributed our quota to national development and to see that the democratic norm of our country is sustained. And to the media, the lesson is this. The lesson is the media has become one of the most trusted partners in our work to sustain and protect democracy. To Arise TV, thank you. To all other TV stations and radio stations that have worked with us to ensure that we got more people to try to come out within the last 2 days where the ban was lifted. And then the fact that we could also tell people that it is safe to cast your ballot and that your ballot will count. is also one of the lessons that I've taken away. And finally, as a young man growing up and believing that this country can still work and that we still believe that we can salvage what is remaining of our country, the truth is the Anambarians have shown that when you campaign, they will trust what you say and they will vote for you because of the fact that they believe in you. For me, I'm waiting to see what INEC says at the end of the process. And I just wish Anambarians and Indianabra well. I believe that the next 4 years will all share good tidings. And even as we go into 2023, everyone has learned. And Dr. Ruben, please permit me to say that the National Peace Committee, I really want to say thank you to them for leading the way in showing us that when a people commit to peace, they stick by it. Because look at what happened. A leading candidate was unable to vote for over 5 hours, right? And every time the media came back to talk to him, especially Arise News that covered it really fully, whenever Arise News came back to say, what do you say now? What do you think? He kept saying to the people, it is going to be peaceful. I'm a man of peace. I've committed to the peace accord. And I think it is important. If the peace accord had not happened, I do not think that that probably would have been the statement. And the fact that even us, the younger generation, have taken it upon ourselves to say that we are also coming up with our own youth peace accord where they also signed is a lesson for me. So we cannot leave anything to chance. As we move on to 2023, I know next year we have Osun and Ekiti State. We're all going to be back there, working hand in hand with the media, with INEC, with the police and the military to ensure that this democratic system that we have now been given since 1999, that it is protected and sustained, because that way we can see everybody's voices heard, people's opinion are listened to, and we can develop this beautiful country that God has blessed us with. So for me, that has been the lesson for me, actually. And for all of us that are ready to lead Africa.
Yes, thank you very much. Godbless Otunure, Global President, ready to lead Africa. And God bless you. Thank you very much for joining us.